Discovery Houston, trim to ATO. Beautiful, beautiful.
Player controls.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. I'm just here on YouTube today because my dumbass didn't get out of bed in time to have Driving Ape share everything for me. So here I am. Where are we here? There we go. We're gonna go to solo layout for the open. Here I am. We're gonna have an interesting day. We watched the budget last night, and holy fuck, did they just sell us up the creek? Oh my god. Oh my god. Now the question period we're gonna be watching is from before the budget yesterday, so it is gonna sound a little bit like we went back in time, and we did. But that's okay, because it still needs to be covered. But the budget, apparently she mentioned the disability tax credit, but she didn't go into any actual details of what was coming when. She just talked about some, fluff piece parts of her presetation. She didn't even really she didn't go into detail. Like when I covered the Ontario budget, they went into detail about what was coming and who was getting what. No, she didn't go into any details about that. She was just like, we've invested this much money in this, and we're continuing to raise the taxes for the wealthiest individual Canadians. We're gonna raise the capital gains tax. But of course, nothing for, the NDP are going to be upset because there was no raising of corporation taxes. And that's something they've been pushing for forever, and they're part of the coalition. It's the Bloc Québécois is pissed off because of jurisdiction. The Conservatives are pissed off because this is the 9th budget that runs a deficit. Meanwhile, Trudeau was like, the budget will balance itself. And yeah, the Bank of Canada has come out to say that this is going to be like the worst budget since '82. This is not a good. This is not a good budget, guys. Welcome to Bishop. Hello, Bishop. Glad to have you with us. And I do have my Streamlabs open, so if anything comes through, I will get notified, even if I'm not live, because I've had stuff, like I've had followers and subscribers go on when I've been offline, but had Streamlabs open, and Streamlabs will go off. So if anything comes through, like donations or follows or subscribers, then I will know. So, before we get into the political stuff, though, there is a couple of other videos that I want to watch and an article that I have but that is also political. So we're gonna go and check out the other stuff first. Let me just pop open my Twitter because I saw that Pincalo sent me something that is not political. Oh, right. The making of Futurama was a shit show. That's the thing I wanted to look at. That should be interesting. Yeah, that'll be a fun thing to watch before we dive into the political stuff. Let's do that. So, yeah, before we jump into the nitty-gritty political stuff, let's have some fun. And let's watch a fun thing about the making of Futurama, which I love Futurama. And it took me becoming an adult to appreciate the jokes. And I think that was Matt Groening's whole point. And I love the jokes in Futurama. I really do. Small screen layout. That's what we want. Okay. There we go. All right. This is a lot harder to do with StreamYard than with Streamlabs. Holy shit. You gotta like push all sorts of buttons instead of just one. Okay. All right. I think we're good. We are good. All right, here we go. Let's learn about the making of Futurama.
25 years ago, the creator of The Simpsons unleashed a brutally honest, unflinching look at the future. It was outlandish, mind-bending, a little heartbreaking, and all kinds of funny.
And it's turning out to be fucking true again. What is with Matt Groening and being able to like predict shit like this? He's done it with The Simpsons, and he did it with Futurama.
Shut up and get to the point!
Futurama is a pillar of adult animation. So it's hard to believe that the executives at 20th Century Fox never liked any of it. They demanded changes throughout its inception, then doomed it with a terrible time slot, confounding the showrunners as to why it had to turn into a shit show.
Oh my ass.
Hedonism bot.
In 1989, the Fox Television Network was a fledgling and floundering broadcast channel with very few claims to fame. The Simpsons changed all of that.
They have so much to thank Matt Groening for, really. Fox does. for like bringing so many people to their station to watch The Simpsons and then Futurama.
Created by cartoonist Matt Groening, with the help of producer James L. Brooks and showrunner Sam Simon, The Simpsons' rebellious mindset, subversion of family sitcoms, self-aware meta-ness, and its all-around hysterical range of humor, from the highbrow to the slapstick,
Yep.
created an instant hit for Fox. The next decade belonged to Matt Groening's animated sitcom.
It really did. It was everywhere. The Simpsons was everywhere, and everybody was quoting The Simpsons, and everybody was watching The Simpsons, and Fox treated Matt Groening like such shit.
Ay, caramba!
Idly hope. Excellent.
Millions tuned in each week, and that rabid fan base spent billions on merchandising. Wow. Its boundary pushing, for the time, and pointed social satire offended parents, religious leaders, and U.S. presidents.
To make American families a lot more like the Waltons and a lot less like the Simpsons.
Oh my God! George H.W. Bush hated The Simpsons. That's hilarious. I didn't know that.
It won dozens of awards and was inarguably one of the greatest TV shows ever made during its heyday. It directly led to the 90s boom of adult animation, like Beavis and Butthead, Family Guy, and South Park, and inspired countless others, from The Office to The Daily Show. And being animated, it was also easily dubbed for overseas markets, making it a global phenomenon. Simpsons Mania was everywhere. While today it's nowhere near the behemoth it once was,
today it sucks. Today it's horrible. I've heard some of the new Simpsons when we had Disney Plus still. I have heard what The Simpsons is now. And oh my God, it's awful. It's absolutely terrible. Like, the characters don't sound anything like even the ones voiced by the original, because they're so old that they can't do the voices properly anymore. It's bad.
It's hard not to overemphasize how much influence The Simpsons has made on pop culture and really the world at large. Needless to say, Fox would do anything to get another Matt Groening show on the air, and they hassled him for years.
Not long ago, the Fox network approached the producers of The Simpsons with a simple request: 35 new shows to fill a few holes in their programming lineup.
35 new shows. I forgot about that joke.
By 1995, Groening started considering it in earnest. Fueled by his apparent fear of robots, Groening wanted to combine comedy with science fiction.
I'm going to do what I've always dreamed of. I'm going to write that sitcom about the sassy robot.
Wait. He has a fear of robots? I didn't know
the same
that.
lane as The Simpsons, he envisioned a future that wasn't an optimistic utopia nor a dystopian nightmare, but one where everything is just as stupid and polarizing as today.
Yeah? Because that's what humans do. They are stupid and polarizing.
If I were registered to vote, I'd send these clowns a message by staying home on election day and dressing up like a clown.
You're not registered?
Nope, not vaccinated either.
He eventually landed on the idea of Futurama, about a well-meaning simpleton, Philip J. Fry, who gets accidentally cryogenically frozen, waking up in the year 3000, and is taken in by his extremely distant nephew, Professor Farnsworth, a 160-year-old mad scientist.
This is a chance for Fry to test out my experimental anti-pressure pill. I can't swallow that. Well then, good news. It's a suppository.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I love this show.
About a year into the project, he decided he needed help fleshing out all these concepts. In 1997, he recruited David X. Cohen. The X means nothing, by the way. He had to differentiate himself from another David Cohen in order to stay in the Writers Guild.
Jesus Christ, seriously? What the fuck? Fucking unions, man. You must be different, therefore you must change or add something to your name.
Cohen went through the usual comedy writer's path. by earning a physics degree at Harvard, followed by a master's in computer science at Berkeley, which naturally got him his first gig, writing for Beavis and Butthead. And that led to him joining The Simpsons in 93.
You call this writing? If I puked in a fountain pen and mailed it to the monkey house, I'd get better scripts.
How do you go from physics and computer science to comedy writing?
But sir, at Harvard,
At Harvard, they taught you. Hit the streets, egghead.
Cohen wrote multiple episodes and segments and constructed probably the greatest sci-fi moment in the series' history.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Oh, Poochie! Oh, the Poochie thing.
Oh, Poochie came from another planet? I guess.
He was also the guy responsible for throwing overly complicated math jokes in the background, inadvertently creating a dedicated fan base primed for a nerdy sci-fi cartoon.
He probably was the one that did the when Lisa made the anti-bully repellent, and Professor Farnsworth trying to get everybody's attention, he probably came up with the "pi is exactly 3" joke. He probably did that.
And they said, we want to make this look sciencey, stick some equations in the background. So that's where I thought, instead of just making it mumbo jumbo, I might as well make some jokes that 3 of my friends from graduate school will get at least, and no one else will ever care about or be talking about in the theater 20 years later.
Groening saw Cohen as the perfect match to help him develop Futurama. And Cohen knew he had to say yes because no other offer in Hollywood could be more suited for his skills and interests.
Yeah.
Seeing as how science fiction comedies didn't really exist at the time, Groening and Cohen were mostly inspired by the low-budget productions of old sci-fi television, like Doctor Who and Lost in Space. The two spent a year detailing every aspect of Futurama, like picking which scientific concepts to parody and discussing how robots had integrated into society.
This had to be a really cool project to develop. Like, to really think about it, as a sci-fi comedy writer, that's so weird to say. And then like having this actual physicist / computer scientist guy helping you, that had to be some fascinating discussions.
While Groening already had Turanga Leela, Zap Brannigan, and Kif Kroker, with Cohen they created the more sci-fi-ish characters like the talking crustacean Dr. Zoidberg.
Look at me! I'm Dr. Zoidberg, homeowner.
The dark matter pooping pet Nibbler, and the impulsive, selfish, hard-drinking robot Bender.
Bender, honey, we love you.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
Bender was very deliberately meant to be Futurama's Homer Simpson.
Yes.
But this time, he couldn't be accused of being a bad role model by pearl-clutching parents because he's a fictional robot.
Yeah, exactly. You can't... There's literally nothing you can say about Bender because he literally doesn't exist. He can't be confused for, like, your everyday father. You can't confuse him for any... Like, he is a fictional robot.
Try this, kids at home.
Is television sensation Bender a bad role model for Earth's children?
That's crazy.
They also created a robot called Pocket Pal that would periodically appear to explain the future to Fry, but tossed the idea, figuring that not explaining the insanity of the year 3000 was far funnier.
I agree. I'm glad they didn't have Pocket Pal. That would have been annoying. I'm very, very happy that they just let it roll.
In the end, the two men had an enormous binder representing 2 years of work. In April of 1998, they were ready to pitch Futurama to Fox. Groening and Cohen spent 2 hours describing a myriad of characters, locations, themes, and plot lines to the eager executives. Groening finished by saying,
"What I've done to the American family with The Simpsons, we're going to do to science fiction with Futurama."
Oh, God. And then Fox probably went, ooh, right? They're like, no, don't do that.
They jumped up and down and ordered 13 episodes on the spot.
Oh, wow.
And then that's when the honeymoon was over.
So they liked it, and
the second they ordered
they
it, they completely freaked out and were afraid the show was too dark and mean-spirited. and thought they had made a huge mistake, and that the only way they could address their anxieties was to try to make me as crazy as possible with their frustrations.
So therefore, they ordered the episodes, and then they were like, no, what did we do? We got too dark. And then Family Guy showed up, and American Dad. And they went, maybe we weren't too dark with Futurama.
When James L. Brooks brought The Simpsons to Fox, they were so desperate for content, they made a deal with Brooks and Groening that they would never creatively interfere with the series. But in the years since, the execubots at Fox had become increasingly corporate and excessive meddlers in all their other shows.
Executive Alpha, programmed to like things it has seen before.
Hey.
Executive Beta, programmed to roll dice to determine the fall schedule.
More reality shows?
I love how they're making fun of. I love it. They're directly making fun of Fox with the executive bots.
Groening soon realized how spoiled he was
Yep.
on The Simpsons. He spent countless meetings with Fox, constantly telling them no because they wanted to change every aspect of the series. They questioned
thank
aliens
God
having
he's
Italian accents, futuristic products with identifiable brands, prostitutes being coin-operated robots, and they didn't get why the plots kept happening off of Earth.
Because they're a spaceship. They fly in space. They're Futurama. It's a science show, dumbasses.
Why not? It's clever, it's unexpected.
But that's not why people watch TV. Clever things make people feel stupid, and unexpected things make them feel scared.
Fox also didn't approve of him selecting Rough Draft Studios to handle the animation, even though the company was founded by Simpsons veterans. Groening called the experience the worst of his career. He already resented the idea that Fox thought the success of The Simpsons was a product of their efforts.
Yeah, no shit. Like, Fox was so shitty to Groening. Like, they were basically, like, he made their network, and they were like, no, we actually made your show, and now we'd like to help make your other show. Wouldn't that be nice?
And wasn't afraid to arrogantly point at his yellow family as proof of what happens when creatives are left alone. Again, Groening's Simpsons built the network and made them billions. He assumed he'd get some leeway. Even his chosen cast weren't safe from the mindless tampering. Initially, Charlie Schlatter from Diagnosis Murder was set as Fry, and Mad TV's Nicole Sullivan landed Leela. But quickly thereafter, Fox abruptly fired both of them with no reason given.
I have no idea.
The part of the story I remember, which is so cringeworthy for actors, is that Charlie called Nicole and said, "My agent just called me and they have fired me." And then Nicole goes, "Hang on 1 second, I'm getting a call."
Oh.
Anyone who's worth their salt has been fired at some point, like I have, and you guys, so it's sometimes it's not the right fit or whatever.
Or some executives feel like they need to pee on your show.
Caught off guard.
Wow. That was. Good morning. We have notes. Oh, this is, I feel bad for, the more I learn about this, the more I feel even worse for Matt Groening.
Whatever.
Or some executives feel like they need to pee on your show.
Caught off guard, Groening and Cohen had to go with their runner-ups.
Him.
Since Billy West was already cast as the professor and only auditioned for Fry, they gave him the role. As for Leela, in came Katie Seagal, who had just finished Married with Children, which, fun fact, Fox canceled publicly before telling the cast and crew.
Oh,
tragically,
fuck, really? That I didn't know. I didn't know that. I knew they canceled Married with Children. I didn't know they canceled it before they told the whole cast and crew. Holy shit.
They also lost Phil Hartman. Groening created the role of Zapp Brannigan specifically for him.
That would have been
After his unexpected death, Billy West also took the part.
That would have been perfect for Phil Hartman. Zapp Brannigan, oh my god.
Modeling his performance on Hartman.
If you so much as glance at another woman,
I'll be all over Leela like a fly on a pile of very seductive manure.
Like The Simpsons, Groening mostly stepped back from day-to-day operations, becoming more of a consultant. He would attend table reads, when the actors first get to read a new script together, occasionally pop into the writer's room, and would give notes throughout the whole process. David Cohen was always intended to be the series' showrunner from day one. He filled the writer's room with Simpsons alums. Nearly all of them had science or math degrees, 3 of whom had PhDs.
Holy crap. So we had some educated writers on The Simpsons. I didn't know that most of the Simpsons writers had math degrees. That's crazy. I mean, it makes sense. You got Professor Frank and all these
which
jokes
made them
that
perfect for getting the most out of science fiction.
Say nerd!
At that time, to make a single episode of Futurama or The Simpsons took around 9 months.
Wow.
After the writing was finished and the actors had recorded their lines, US-based animators would draw roughly 1,000 keyframes for each episode. The writers would give notes, changes were made, then the animatic was sent to the South Korea studio, where they'd animate the entire thing, about 20 to 25,000 frames. But
holy fuck! That is mind-boggling to me.
unlike The Simpsons, Futurama was colored digitally. In fact, the series used a wide range of computer techniques for the final product, from the straightforward 3D effects of the Planet Express ship to the hidden lip-sync alterations for dialogue replacement. When the pilot was finished, Fox was furious to find out it wasn't, to them, anything like The Simpsons, meaning they were literally expecting a family of 5 in space.
Oh my god. They actually thought it was gonna be The Simpsons in the future? Holy shit, they're stupid. The last couple of seasons, Married with Children tanked in the ratings. Oh! Solar Adventures and DIYs, that's just rude. The Going to the Old Country, the storyline using 7, it really wasn't that good. Interesting. See, this I didn't watch. I've only watched some Married with Children episodes with you, so I don't know.
You see, TV audiences don't want anything original. They want to see the same thing they've seen 1,000 times before.
In a last-ditch effort to placate the studio's concerns, Groening and Cohen purposely produced the 3rd episode, I, Roommate.
The network really was freaked out by the show with the suicide booths and the lobster creatures and Bender being so antisocial. And so again, this was our show. Just to tone things down. This script was written specifically to their specifications. And their reaction, David?
It was horrible.
Worst episode ever.
Oh my god, they hated it. That of course they did. Because they are freaking executives who can't be pleased at all. Ever. Like, make it like The Simpsons. Okay, fine. This is horrible.
So even bound by all the notes axed of them, Fox still didn't like the show. Groening finally put his foot down, saying he would no longer listen to their gripes and that they produced the series just as independently as The Simpsons.
Good.
Futurama debuted Sunday, March 28th, 1999. 19 million Earthicans tuned in, even beating their lead-in, The Simpsons.
Wow.
Reviewers were lukewarm with the new series, thinking it wasn't as sharp as The Simpsons, but its originality and inventiveness showed great promise. Groening wanted Futurama to be aired in the ratings sweet spot of 8:30 p.m. on Sunday nights,
Right after The Simpsons, which would have made sense.
sandwiched between the powerhouses of The Simpsons at 8 and the X-Files at 9. Fox only let it air there for 2 episodes.
Yeah, that I remember that. I remember because I was 9 when Futurama aired, and I remember going, okay, this is going to be interesting, having The Simpsons, then Futurama, then the X-Files. And then immediately they took it away. You were one of them? Yeah, so was I. I was 9 years old and me and Dad were watching it together.
before moving it to their lower-rated animation Tuesday nights, alongside King of the Hill, Family Guy, and the PJs.
Due to technical difficulties, we now bring you 8 animated shows in a row.
Futurama lost nearly 50% of its audience with the change. Groening called the move a historic blunder and assumed it was a reprisal from Fox because he wouldn't listen to their notes.
That it probably was. It honestly, it probably was. It was probably Fox going, fine, you think you have control over the show, well then we have control over who gets to see your show. You know what I mean?
Throughout the rest of the year, Groening did not play nice when speaking to the press. He fumed that Fox no longer fostered original series, that they operated permanently in damage control mode for their past failures, and frankly, that they clearly had no idea what they were doing. Groening was willing to take all that blame if the series tanked, but it needed to be on his terms. Overall, though, he was optimistic.
Hold on, guys. I have to answer this. Hello? Okay. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Bye. I hope you guys didn't hear any of that. I couldn't get to the mute button. Sorry about that. I couldn't get to the mute button in time.
Optimistic that the quality of the show would grow an audience regardless of its time slot. And sure enough, it did. By the end of its first season, viewership was steadily climbing. At the beginning of the second season, Fox put Futurama back in that prime Sunday 8:30 p.m.
that
spot.
70s show in its spot. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think I was around 14 and it was the coolest thing at the time. Seemed like the most advertised adult cartoon ever. It really
By the end of its first season, viewership was steadily climbing. At the beginning of the second season, Fox put Futurama back in that prime Sunday 8:30 p.m. spot for only 4 episodes.
That's all? But
now, there'll be plenty of time to discuss your objections when and if you return.
Because Fox is, I swear to God, Fox hated Groening after the Futurama thing. I swear to, they were, and then I think they were also pissed off because of what Seth MacFarlane was producing. And I think they were punishing, I think they were punishing Groening for their decision to allow Seth MacFarlane on.
Whether they were truly punishing him for their lack of control, or perhaps furious that he kept dragging their name through the mud, Fox gave their new series, Malcolm in the Middle, the spot, and moved Futurama up an hour and a half earlier.
Right.
7 p.m. on Sundays was considered a death sentence on Fox, as it often competed against the sports ball games and post-game talk shows.
Always.
If the games ran over, any series caught in that time slot would simply not air that day.
Yeah, it never, like, if it was supposed to be an episode of, if there was supposed to be a new episode and there was an overage on a football game, nope, no series air.
And the episode would be put on a shelf. Because of this, Futurama's 4 seasons of episodes aired inconsistently, becoming 5 seasons of broadcast television.
Oh my God.
And they were completely out of order, which normally wouldn't be a problem for most sitcoms, like The Simpsons, but Futurama leaned into its continuity.
Yeah, it has a sort of a story. It has continuity. It has like callbacks to previous episodes, and if you play them out of order, it doesn't make sense.
Especially with its Fry and Leela romance and the ever-evolving mythology of Fry's importance in the universe.
Yeah.
When streaming Futurama, it's placed in that broadcast order. not chronological.
Mm.
Sunday at 7 p.m. is where Futurama remained for the rest of its run.
That sucks.
Over time, Fox basically forgot the show even existed. When it won the Outstanding Animated Program Emmy for Roswell That Ends Well, Fox never bothered to call Groening or Cohen to congratulate them.
What?
Hey, don't cut that.
Seriously? Wow. They won an Emmy, which would have been great for Fox. But holy shit. That's bad.
Never bothered to call Groening or Cohen to congratulate them.
Hey, don't cut that. I need that to speak.
And Fox couldn't be mad at the show for offending anyone because all the controversies they feared would crop up never came to be. Though the Nixon estate did ask them to stop making fun of him.
In our darkest hour, we can stand erect with proud, upthrust bosoms.
Anyone who laughs is a communist.
All Fox saw was declining viewership,
That's hilarious.
thanks to that erratic schedule. Sometimes it meant only one new episode a month, and that made building an audience nearly impossible. Globiously, ratings slowly cratered. Lasting 72 episodes, Fox technically never canceled Futurama. They simply didn't order another season.
That's even worse. That's even sad. That feels even worse.
But really, what's the difference?
Another classic science fiction show canceled before its time.
For fans, it was a bitter outcome because the series was genuinely flourishing creatively and critically.
And it was hilarious. Like, it was, I don't remember ever seeing like a bad Futurama episode.
Perhaps the first season wasn't as strong as some were expecting, but critics and meatbags alike agree the show only got better. By season 5, or the last half of season 4, depending on how you look at it, Futurama was firing on all cylinders and is widely considered to this day the best the show ever got. This was the result of two decisions made by David Cohen. The first was fully embracing their science fiction roots, as they were able to explore insane concepts like no other television series in history.
Oh, of course. Like, science fiction takes you anywhere you want. So if you're gonna put sci-fi and comedy together, then you can basically do whatever. Like Hitchhikers. Like Douglas Adams, he could basically do whatever he wanted in that book.
We noticed that the fans were responding really well to the episodes that had more sci-fi in them. And you'll see we do go for more serious sci-fi stories as it goes along. And the thing that was very surprising to me, a lot of those, I believe, ended up being our funnier episodes as well. And that's what we didn't know we could do at first, just to do a story which was a real sci-fi story, but also be a good comedy story or a good touching story.
The second was getting audiences to cry. Groening always had the idea that the show could tackle heavier topics as long as Cohen made sure the characters reacted to their crazy circumstances in relatable, sympathetic ways. During the third season, the writers tested the waters with the episode The Luck of the Fryrish, where an angry Fry believes his brother Yancey stole his name, his luck, and his dreams, only to discover that Yancey had actually named his son after the younger brother he lost.
I remember that episode. That was a sad fucking episode. That was so sad. Hey, Parody Bear. That was a really sad episode. That made me cry.
Son, I'm naming you Philip J. Fry in honor of my little brother, who I miss every day. I love you, Philip.
Aww.
And I always will.
The episode was so well received, it gave Cohen the confidence to push things even further, culminating in perhaps Futurama's most infamously devastating episode, Jurassic Park, where the audience learns Fry's dog spent the rest of its life patiently waiting for Fry to return.
Yeah, that was, his dog. Yeah, that was, oh my God, the dog episode. Oh my God.
This poignancy put Futurama in a league of its own, above all other animated sitcoms of its time, even The Simpsons.
Yep.
And has never quite been given the credit it deserves for paving the way for other adult animation to dig a little deeper and tug at those heartstrings. Writer Ken Keeler was given the unenviable task of writing the finale.
Oh.
The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings aired on August 10th, 2003. Conan Groening consciously didn't want the episode to have a sense of finality, so Keeler focused on the emotional core of the series.
I like that because they didn't want it, because they weren't being canceled. They were being... Poor doggo, yeah. Hi, JP. Yeah, because they never got canceled, so I wouldn't want a finality either.
Fry's unrequited love
For Leela.
for Leela.
A man writing an opera about a woman? Oh, Sarah, how deliciously absurd.
And instead of having them finally come together or saying goodbye, he simply ended Futurama on a positive note.
Please don't stop playing, Fry. I want to hear how it ends.
Groening, Cohen, and the rest still had stories they wanted to tell,
Yep.
and always held out hope that Futurama could return.
And it
But
did.
one thing would need to change.
Fox, the
Yes.
executives.
I see. Good news, everyone! Those asinine morons who canceled us were themselves fired for incompetence.
I need to watch the new Futurama stuff. I haven't seen the new season. I have not seen the new seasons, and I would like to, because I've heard they were just as good. So, but that was I had no idea about most of this stuff. That, like, I had no idea about most of the things I just learned. That was cool. I like watching videos where I learn stuff that I don't know. I like that. That makes me happy. Very cool. Very, very interesting stuff. I like that. And again, like, and I enjoy Futurama now. Like, when I was a kid, I kind of laughed when my parents laughed, but I didn't really get it. Now I get it, right? I get the jokes, and I love Futurama. It's great. It's a Fury Kitten. Good day to you, Fury Kitten. How are you today? You're just in time for the fun political things. So let's pull up our article that we are going to start with. Oh, first I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay, we're good. We are good. Okay. Liberal budget on track to be worst since 1982 is the title of this article. Maybe the reporters writing this article got more details out of the budget than we were actually given during the announcements. Maybe we will see some actual details in the budget. Okay. Because I did not hear very many actual announcements in, like, this province is getting this tax rebate is coming here. We're like, none of that. So this says Freeland's 2024 budget to be worst since 1982, former BOC Governor David Dosh says. Portfolio manager warns that the loonie could fall to 50 cents. So the portfolio manager is warning that the dollar is going to fall to 50 cents value. Some of you will be forced to some of you will be forced through a metal crane for the benefit of your planet. And they will be the luckiest of all. All I got from the budget was a tax hike on the middle class and self-employed and a tax freeze on the lower income. Yeah, pretty much. And the middle class is slowly becoming the lower income. Oh, stupid ads. He hasn't even laid eyes on the finance minister's, Chrystia Freeland's federal budget, but former Bank of Canada Governor David Dosh is suggesting that it is likely to be the worst budget in more than 40 years. So this guy hasn't even read the budget, and he's just watching what was going on, and this is his takeaway. I think this is likely to be the worst budget since then Finance Minister Alan McGeechan. Alan McGeechan's budget of 1982. The sense of pointing us in the wrong direction as to how we'll go about raising the incomes of Canadians and actually making Canadians feel better over the medium term, Dodge said in an interview with CTV News Channel's Power Play with some person. We're going in exactly the wrong direction. Well, yeah, we are. They're like, damn it, first I took all my money and invested it in maple syrup futures, and now this. But additional levies for balancing out the cost of financial projects wouldn't be necessary if they hadn't screwed the country. Facts. Yep. Facts. That's exactly right, Fury Kitten. When someone like Dodge stands up and says we're heading for a cliff, it's times Canadians voters demand better. No one in possession of all their faculties can possibly be considering either a vote for the Liberals or the NDP. And if there's still enough of them, well, God help us all. Yeah. That's basically where I'm sitting here. I can't find it. Like, I don't know what I mean. Like, where all these people that still think he's a good idea are coming from. I don't understand how people can see what's happening and see how much money's being spent and where it's being spent and still go, yeah, this is a great idea. I just don't understand. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has promised to spend billions of taxpayer dollars to tackle the housing crisis, expand child care, boost the military, grow the country's artificial intelligence capacity, set up a national school food program, and add resources towards providing more dental health care for people. Sorry, I'm going through all these advertisements. Ugh. something doesn't add up. I think there's a big question of how much of all that promised spending is going to be booked into this year or next year, and how much is going to be deferred, Dodge told Kalos. I think there's a very real possibility that they'll do exactly the wrong thing and tax the very folks at the very core issues that are going to make the investments that will actually raise income over time. Yeah, because it can't do anything but raise the income. Ask your mother. Maybe make a TikTok. She'll reply to that faster. Yeah. Yeah, she will. She'll reply to my TikToks before anything else. But hey, let's not get into that. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre used Dodge's damning words to slam Freeland's federal budget. Ah! Why did you take me over there? Where did you put me? But to help finance all of this, critics have speculated. Critics have speculated that the Liberals could raise taxes on individuals and wealthy corporations. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre used Dodge's damning words to slam Freeland's federal budget. Even Liberals are starting to speak out. Today, proud Liberal and former Bank of Canada Governor David Dodge, who worked for Paul Martin and Jean Chrétien, has said this budget is on track to be the worst since 1982 as Trudeau doubles and triples down on the costly failures that have left Canadians hungry and without homes, Poilievre told reporters Tuesday morning. We're stuck with this costly coalition for a year and a half, it looks like, he continued. Yep, because everybody's going to vote. All the NDPs are going to vote for this budget. Keep in mind, he has brought in millions of new voters and given them free housing, tens of thousands of dollars of money that our kids will still be paying off 10 to 20 years to do it. Well, and that's the thing, though. He hasn't given those millions of new voters free housing because they're all fucking clogging up the homeless shelters. They're homeless. They're on the streets. Last week, Jean-François Tardif, founder and portfolio manager at Ongoing Investment Management, warned that if Canada doesn't fix its issues around inflation and affordability, the Canadian loonie could sink to 50 cents. I think the Canadian dollar could easily go to 50 cents, Tardif told BNN Bloomberg. If we keep going the way we're going, the Canadian dollar is going to go down substantially. We have here in Canada housing and affordability issue, and we have a wage issue because people can't afford. We have a wage issue, and we have wage pressure because people can't afford houses. The price of everything is up, so people are going to ask for higher wages, which creates higher inflation. Higher inflation means that the economy is not doing as well. A depressed economy, Tardif added, is less attractive to investors. If they see a meager economy, which is already happening right now, it means investors will be less interested in investing here. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's a slow erosion that could happen if you don't change this trend. Yeah, they're like, we don't want to raise corporate taxes because we don't want to scare away investors. Meanwhile, the economy is the reason why people aren't going to invest. I remember when the Canadian dollar was worth 67 cents or 60 cents US. That was when all the Americans would come up here and buy everything. Yep. Yep. I remember that. I also remember Canadians going to the States to buy shit. The loonie hit an all-time low back in 2002 when it sank to 61 point. There you go. There's the one you're talking about, honey. When it sank to 61.79 cents US. As of late Tuesday morning, the loonie stood at 72.3 cents US. Freeland is expected to present the federal budget at around 4 p.m. in the House of Commons, which is what I covered last night. So that's bad. When a former Liberal and Bank of Canada governor is like, this is a bad budget, maybe the Liberals should actually listen. Further driving up prices. Yep. I remember when the US dollar was almost comparable, almost at parity with the Canadian. Yep, there have been times when that has happened too, and that has been when the economy was good. I remember, like, these are things that both, like, the Liberal under Jean Chrétien, we had a good same with Paul Martin, and then with Stephen Harper, we didn't have that. Like, this budget is bad. This budget is really, really bad. And it's going to fuck us really horribly. And for everybody who still thinks that Trudeau is an amazing person, I ask you why. We should call it the Skynet destroys everything budget. Yeah. The amount of bullshit that was in there for AI is terrifying. It really is. Like, why do we need all this AI? And then she's like, and the access to the data and this open banking act with, like, our data, like, all of this, when you add it all together and think about, like, why we're doing what we're doing for AI, it's like, why do you need all our data again? Oh yeah, for the AI algorithm. Like, holy shit. Okay. I am going to quickly set up our music so that I can go get more coffee and have a quick bathroom break. And then we will be back for question period. So let me pull up our music. Oops. There we go. Okay. We got our music pulled up. Let me go back over here. Holy fuck, the amount of stuff I have to do to operate Streamlabs. Or StreamYard, I mean. This is crazy. Okay. I'll be right back with coffee and gone to the bathroom. Okay, we're back. Okay. We're back. Where am I? Small screen layout. That's what I need. Okay. So now, like I said, it is going to sound like we kind of went back in time because this question period is going to be from before the budget. But I think it's important to hear what happened in question period. And I'm also going to be keeping an eye on what happens with the budget debate today. and I will keep you apprised, and that will probably be for tomorrow's coffee stream. But I think it's important that we see what happened yesterday. So, without further ado, let's jump into this shit show.
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Don't trust
The
AI.
Prime
AI is a
says
show.
conservatives
Yeah.
will cut taxes, build homes, fix the budget, and stop
And
the crime.
the shitty thing is
However,
that AI can help people like me,
this
like
Prime
like
Minister is not worth the
for
cost.
reading
After
shit.
8 years,
But
he's
at
spent
the same time,
huge
it's also
sums of money with huge deficits,
very
and
dangerous.
tax increases, and thought that somebody else would pay. But he's not this millionaire prime minister or his friends who will pay. It's always the welders, single mothers, seniors who will have to deal with the increased cost of groceries and the doubling in the cost of housing.
Why is this?
The Honorable Minister of Immigration, Mr. Speaker, what Canadians heard.
Why is the
a
immigration
leader
minister speaking?
Who doesn't have a vision, no ambition, and no plan. On this side of the House, we understand that Canadians
have an
and
ambition
Canadians
and a
understand
plan.
that a country with ambition
It's
is
just
a
a
country that
plan
invests.
not to
It's a
sell the country
that
down the
invests
creek.
in more jobs, that invests in building more housing, that has more growth, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we will continue to focus to fight for Canadians every day, while the Conservatives will invite a new slogan today, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. His ambition is to replace his boss.
Oh!
And he's not the only one. He's not
Oh, he just called
He
Mark
wants
Carney
to fire
out.
this prime minister who is not worth the cost after 8 years. Results speak for themselves.
God damn.
He doubled the cost of housing, increased the cost of groceries, and now he's doubled the national debt. Results are poverty and exorbitant prices for Canadians. Why another $40 billion why will another $40 billion change the results today? The Honourable Minister of Innovation, Mr. Speaker, the only ambition on this side of the House is to work every day for Canadians, and that is exactly what we've done for
No, the only ambition on that side of the House is to sell, print.
Past 8 years, while the Conservative leader is inventing a new slogan every week, Canadians know full well that slogans don't build homes. Slogans don't build growth, Mr. Speaker. Slogans don't create jobs. They've been there for 8 years, Mr. Speaker. When's the last time that the Conservatives created a single job in this country?
I'm sorry. Yes, they've been there for 8 years. Yeah, and they did a lot more than you've done in 8 years. And they haven't been there for the last 8 years. You have.
This side of the House, we're going to fight every day for Canadians. We're going to present
I
a
love how
responsible
they
budget,
keep
and we will
shitting
continue
on
to
the
ensure
Harper
growth for this
government,
country,
which
Mr.
was
Speaker.
known by no means a perfect government, but it's been not the government for fucking 9 years. And like you can't blame that. And that's like saying, why are you so shitty to all why are you so shitty to all men? Well, because I had a bad breakup with one man 9 years ago. Okay. How many good men have you met since then? Right? It's like saying that how can you blame a government that hasn't been a government for 9 years for what's going on now? That doesn't make sense. Our new slogan is slogans don't. Yep. Pretty much, Fury Kitten.
Since Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime after 8 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. The results are in. He told us that if he massively increased debts and taxes, that someone else would pay for it. But of course, the Millionaire Trust Fund Prime Minister and his billionaire friends who invite him to private islands never pay a dime. It's always seniors, small businesses, and single mothers. Why would it be any different this time?
The Honorable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, in this budget, like all others, we will take into account the economic context as well as the needs of Canadians.
The economic context?
Millennials and Gen Z as well. We will unlock supply and housing. We will ensure there is support.
Yes, with modular housing, because we all want to live in an assembled house, not a constructed house that's brick and mortar. No, we want to live in a puzzle box.
For renters, we will make sure there's a national school food program.
We don't want
Mr.
any of
Speaker,
that.
And on this side of the house, we will make sure we do that while maintaining a strong fiscal position, AAA credit rating, and the lowest debt to GDP ratio in the G7. Slogans don't make good policy.
Oh, look,
Mr.
another
Speaker.
one. Slogans don't.
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, they've definitely proven that. Their slogan for the last 8 years is that you can double the debt and someone else will just pay the bill. But we know who pays every single time. It is welders and waitresses, seniors, small businesses, and single mothers who have faced doubling housing costs and unaffordable food. And now their solution is to do more of the same, to pour on billions of dollars more of inflationary spending that will drive up interest rates, inflations, and taxes. Why would we expect it to be any different this time?
Because, don't you understand? We are the definition of insanity. We're just going to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results.
The Honorable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, on the contrary, our government has lifted 2.3 million Canadians out of poverty.
Where?
I'd like to put it to
Where?
opposition. If they truly believe in supporting Canadians, why have they voted against the Canada dental benefit?
Because we don't need.
Pharmacare?
I would like to point something out to you, and I wish that I had gotten the email so I could read it to you. But Pincalo got an email from our dentist last night. And it said that the federal government has not provided anyone, like any dentist, with any information about when the plan takes place, what services will be covered in the plan, when dentists can access reimbursement for providing the services. Also, Sun Life, with whom the dentist is insured, has also not approved the Fed's plan. So this dental benefit that is so great, there are dentists that and I think this is across Canada. I think even the Canada Dental Association has said something about this, where they have no information. The dentists have no information on how this plan is supposed to work, when it's supposed to roll out, or anything. It's just literally just an idea on paper.
Why have they voted against $10 a day childcare, Mr. Speaker? That does not make sense because slogans do not make good policy.
The Honorable.
Let's see. It's the Gen X's with the student loans that they still haven't paid off. Yeah. Oh, you'll forward me the email? Perfect. Perfect. So that way I can read it out loud to you guys, because they have no, there's literally no framework in place for this plan. No framework at all. Let me pop up my email because it won't be shown, because Chrome is just screen shared, so I'll just leave it like that. I'll leave it like that. Let's see. Where am I here? I'm just waiting for the email to come through. But yeah, there is literally no plan in place for this dental benefit, which is probably why the conservatives have voted against it. Because I would too if there was no actual framework in place. And like I said yesterday, I will take the possibility of losing the Canadian disability benefit because honestly, I don't believe the federal government spoke to any of the provinces to stop a clawback. And I have a feeling that if the Canada disability benefit were created, that I would be forced to apply for that, and then I would lose my Ontario benefits because that's how that happens. Last time Pinkalo was out of work before he became self-employed, they forced him to apply for employment insurance, which he paid into, which is right because you pay into that. So the ODSP forced him to apply for employment insurance. Then when he got it, they kicked me off disability because they said that it would be double dipping for us to receive Pinkalo's employment insurance that he paid into and for me to also be receiving disability benefits. And then they said that we now owed them money because of the retroactive payment, the big lump sum payment that you get at the beginning of EI. Because we got that, we were then owing the ODSP money. Can you believe that shit? Can you believe that shit? It was just ridiculous. Like, I could not believe that shit. And that's probably what they would do federally for the Canada disability benefit. That's probably exactly what they would do. Did you send it? Okay, well, we'll just wait for the email to come through, and I'll push I'll keep going.
The opposition. Except everything she just listed are slogans on which they have not delivered.
Right?
What they have delivered is they've doubled the debt, which has caused the worst inflation in 40 years, interest rates rising faster than at any time in history, the doubling of housing costs, the worst growth in the G7, the worst housing price inflation in that same group of nations. And today, after all of these devastatingly costly results, what do? The same thing that got us in this problem in the first place. Why won't they realize that they're the problem and not the solution?
And what's crazy to me is that they're saying the conservatives don't care about social safety nets. Conservatives are the ones that put in place, it was called the CCTB. It was called the Canada Child Tax Benefit. They put that into place. The conservatives put that into place, but they don't care about social safety nets, right?
And then they tried to prosecute me for attempted fraud. But Fury Clinton moderator got taken to court for fraud as they put me on disability when I didn't ask for it. As so many others, Tard Nickel Civil Urban saw colorblind and put me on full disability. But
you got taken to court because they put you on disability. Got taken to court for fraud as they put me on disability when I didn't ask for it. As some tard saw colorblind and put that as a full disability. Seriously? I got off it and they attempted to prosecute me for attempting fraud. Wow. That's bullshit, Fury Kitten. Oh my god.
The Honorable Minister for Housing, Infrastructure, and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, the leader of the opposition has been masquerading across the country as a working class hero, but it's fascinating when you actually listen to what he thinks people do for a living. In a couple of recent speeches, he said he thinks electricians capture electricity from the sky. And
What? No, he did not. No, the fuck he did not, Sean
that welders
Fraser.
weld with their bare hands. He said he thinks electricians capture electricity from the sky, and that welders weld with their bare hands. What's he going to tell me next? The fishermen in my community dive beneath the ocean and catch them with their bare teeth? Mr. Speaker, I can forgive the opposition leader for being a career politician who's been on the public dime for a couple of decades, but if he wants to represent the interests of the working class, he should talk to a person who has a real job.
Wow. You actually expect us to believe that Polyev said that electricians capture electricity from the sky? You really actually you really think that we believe that? You really believe that? You really believe that? Okay, here's the message from the dentist. Let me read this to you. The government's new federal dental plan, called the Canadian Dental Care Plan, in recent months. So that's the title of the thing. In recent months, several of our patients have been receiving information by mail, calls, or other means of communications from either the Federal Ministry of Health or its administrative insurance carriers, Sun Life, regarding the government's new federal dental plan called the Canadian Dental Care Plan. There has been much information and misinformation regarding this. Regarding who is eligible, what is covered, and how dentists are to enlist in the plan. To date, the government has launched the plan and in many cases notified patients of their eligibility. However, like with many things our government has done in the past, the announcement is premature as many parts of the plan are still missing or have not yet been determined. As dentists who are to provide these services, it is always our goal to provide the best quality of care that patients need, regardless of who pays for the treatment. For the last 30 years, we have been able to provide the best facilities, staff, and most up-to-date state-of-the-art equipment and techniques because the quality of care you receive is our most important goal. As dentists who are to provide... Currently, our government has not notified dentists of the total cost to them of the plan, what services are covered, on what fee schedule their plan is based, on when and how dentists are to be reimbursed, or what safeguards it has put in place to protect your personal medical information. When our Dental Association and the Royal College of Dental Surgeons of Ontario are, quote, or in parentheses, our regulating body, provides us with this written and confirmed information, we will make a decision on whether we can institute this plan. Respectfully, your dentist. So that's basically the dentist is emailing me and Pinkalo to say the government has prematurely done this plan and we don't know what's going on. Well, there could be a few Canadian fishermen that dive beneath the ocean and catch fish with their teeth. Yeah. Captured from the sky, indeed. Ha ha ha. Everyone knows it comes from hardworking magical pixies that harvest it from the magnetic fields. Nah. Fuck pixies. Oh, yay! There's your burn polio. Woohoo! Oh my god! The Speaker of the House actually went, shh. Holy fuck!
Alors?
Order.
Order.
Alors?
Order, please.
Children. Everybody calm down.
Alors?
Order, please. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Quebecers have been cheated by this government since 2019 when it comes to housing. We represent 22% of the population. We got only 14% of the money, and only 6% of that was for affordable housing. Despite all this, the Minister of Housing is giving lessons out today. He told the presse, La Presse, that his government is acting in good faith, in his opinion, and that it's the provinces that have to agree to do things differently.
Oh, so it's all the province's fault. Okay. I saw somebody comment that on TikTok the other day. They're like, the provinces refuse to earmark the transfer payments for where they're supposed to go. And I'm like, how? What? What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Simmer down, children. Yeah, exactly right, Fury Kitten.
It's the federal government that has to do things differently. It must stop fleecing Quebecers. Will it pay our fair share of housing funds immediately instead of giving out lessons?
No.
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Oh, I hate this translator.
Not defining policies on housing in Quebec. We have a good relationship with our counterparts in Quebec to build housing. For example,
you do have a good relationship.
we are making
do you?
investments
Where?
to build 8,000 affordable housing units. The overall programs show that it's clear that we are ensuring that Quebec is getting its fair share. We will continue our work in building homes in Quebec and across the country. The Honourable Member for La Prairie, you have to do that, give lessons. It was this government that made the current housing crisis worse. It lost control of immigration and didn't pay Quebec its fair share for housing. That same government, incidentally, gave us ArriveCan. It can't print passports. It can't pay its own employees with Phoenix. You can't make this stuff up. These gifted people are telling the provinces to act in good faith and do things differently. Does the government understand that the only thing that needs to be done differently is for these gifted people to mind their own business and stop trying to manage Quebec's housing money?
Is he using the term gifted ironically? Because I don't think these people are gifted at all. I think they're all stupid and completely out of touch. And like, and I love how he's like, he's telling the truth. He's like, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't.
Money. The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Yes,
Mr.
because that was a
Speaker,
transport
we are
question.
Quebecers, and when we're talking about housing, they are saying, mind your own business. Well, when we stand up and we talk about ensuring that our kids are not going to school hungry, they say no. But when the Prime Minister of a foreign country comes here from another continent and he tells us, well, we have to listen to them. Well, Mr. Speaker, they'd be good to listen to them because Quebecers are standing up for Quebecers and Canada, and we will always do this.
Okay, you suck as a translator because what he was saying was completely lost. That was awful. I had no idea what he was actually trying to say there.
The Honourable Member for Rosemount Petite Patrie. Mr. Speaker, Canada's large corporations are highly profitable and among the least taxed in the world, a big gift from the Conservatives that the Liberals have maintained. In the US, President Biden has understood that it's unfair to workers, and he's going to make companies pay what they owe.
Yes, President Biden. Let's do what President Biden is doing. That's a great idea.
Here, the liberals are hesitating, treading water, beating around the bush, and we fear they won't have the courage to do the right thing. Mr. Speaker, I beg you, tell me, am I wrong? The Honorable Minister of Innovation. Mr. Speaker, he is wrong. That's the simple answer, Mr. Speaker. There's
the Minister of Innovation. He says Mr. Speaker a lot.
Problems with memory, Mr. Speaker. We have an agreement with NDP colleagues. The Conservatives were opposed. We know that the best way to ensure stability in the country, to ensure affordability, is to have more competition. There's more choice with more competition. There's better prices, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to fight
Where is
every
there
day
competition?
to ensure the quality of life of Canadians.
Where is there competition? There's only three grocery things. There's Compliments, there's President's Choice, and there's one other that I can't remember. That's it. Okay? Then with internet, it's the same thing. There's Rogers and there's Bell. That's it. That's it. All the other subsidiary companies use Rogers or Bell service. Okay? So there's no competition for internet. There's no competition for grocery pricing. What the fuck are you talking about?
The honourable member from Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, while Canadians are struggling and food bank use is at an all-time high, rich oil and gas CEOs are making record profits. Canadians are frustrated, but sources say that the finance minister backed out from an excess profits tax in this budget. Why? Because oil and gas lobbyists asked her to. Yeah. Just like the Conservatives, the Liberals keep caving to big oil and gas. Why do the Liberals keep protecting the...
She sucks. How do you think she got the job?
She sucks. How do you think she got the job?
Allow people to buy food at a reasonable cost rather than taxing the hit out of legitimate and farmers. Then you don't abort to have a national school meals program ran by WF trolls. But
Allow people to buy food at reasonable cost. Stop crap the don't tax the crap out of logistics and farmers. Don't have an abortion of a national school food program run by trolls. I have text-to-speech programs that sound more human than this translator. I agree.
Of big oil and
That
gas
translator is
instead
horrible.
Of everyday Canadians.
Yeah. The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would point out Canada is the first and the only G20 country to have eliminated inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. We have introduced a tax on share buybacks across the economy to tackle exactly excess profits. Canada is putting into place the first and only in the world oil and gas emissions cap to hold the industry accountable.
Why? Oil and gas emissions cap. What the fuck? Yeah, because our country of 40 million people is producing so much oil and gas emissions that we're gonna single-handedly fuck up the atmosphere, right?
For their own commitments. On the other hand, the Conservative leader has pledged to his oil and gas CEO donors to make pollution free again. We know who's in the pockets of oil and gas. It's that party over there.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
8 years of this
Wrong, he's wrong because I say he's wrong. Oh no, we're 41 million. The number just went up after like 8 months. Jesus Christ. Yeah, because let's import our population instead of letting it grow naturally, right?
Liberal NDP Prime Minister, Canadians
Hey,
know that
Michelle
he's not
Lanceman.
worth the cost. Even proud Liberal and former bank governor David Dodge, who worked for Paul Martin and Jean Chrétien, says that this budget is on track to be the worst one since 1982. Canadians know that this budget will bring higher taxes, higher spending, meaning even more misery for families who can't afford to eat. Instead of drowning everyone, will they fix the budget, axe the tax on farmers and food, and stop the endless spending with the dollar-for-dollar law so that Canadians can afford to live?
The Honorable President of the Treasury Board.
Oh, here comes this bitch again.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure if the honorable member is aware, but our fiscal markers are very strong. That is a AAA credit rating by an independent.
Our fiscal markers are very
That is the
strong.
lowest debt to GDP ratio in the G7. All the while we will continue to support vulnerable Canadians, something that they refuse to do on the other side of the House by voting against $10 a day childcare, families, and seniors every single time. Mr. Speaker, the hypocrisy is palpable.
The hypocrisy, huh? Yes, it's palpable from your side of the house. But that's okay. You don't want to admit that.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Speaker, I'm not sure that the honourable member is aware of the pain that Canadians feel who can't afford to live in Canada. And what's worse is that they can't even afford to die. The Prime Minister's own news agency, the CBC, is reporting in provinces across Canada, dead bodies are being stored in mobile freezers because people can't afford the cost of laying their loved ones to rest.
Wow. That's fucked up.
Chat message and Fury
That is
Star Sing Star musical notes. It's starting to look like National Socialism.
a lot. That is wow. I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know what to say to that. Just holy shit.
Add reaction button.
Can you imagine having to store your mom in a mobile freezer because you can't afford a funeral, even the most basic funeral? That's fucked up. I can't imagine that.
They can't afford their homes, they can't afford their groceries, they can't afford their gas, and now they can't afford a dignified goodbye. We're asking him just to stop. We know he won't. So how much inflationary fuel is the PM going to pour on the fire at 4 o'clock today?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, all Canadians deserve to die with dignity. They also deserve support while they are alive, which is why we have reduced poverty by 22% on this side of the House, which is why we have supported families with $10 a day childcare and the Canada Child Benefit, which has lifted 500.
Sounds like she can't. Sounds like she can barely talk.
The crazy thing is that happens more than people realize everywhere. But
The crazy thing is that happens more than people realize everywhere.
improper corpse disposal is a civil flag tipping fine.
Improper corpse disposal is a simple. Hey mom, where's the pork ribs at? Next to grandma's left foot. That's dark.
100,000 children out of poverty, Mr. Speaker. What we will do on this side of the House is maintain a strong fiscal position.
A strong fiscal position? Where the fuck are you?
We take that as our priority, unlike the other side of the House.
Don't you care about the children that we're putting in poverty right now? You should. You should, because we don't.
The Honourable Member from Central Okanagan, Similkameen, Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years, we know that this Prime Minister and his NDP Liberal government are not worth the cost. His recent
Is anybody else noticing an upswell of Conservative MPs from BC, or is it just me?
Is inflationary and making everything worse, adding billions to the debt. This year alone, they will throw $52 billion towards debt servicing. That's more than they allocate to the provinces for healthcare. Doesn't the Prime Minister see his reckless spending is increasing inflation and debt, burdening all generations of already struggling Canadians? Or is he too busy cutting checks to care?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let's delve into the numbers a little bit. When the leader of the Conservatives was Minister of Jobs, unemployment in Canada was 11% higher. Wages in this country were 75% of what they are now.
Yeah, because we didn't need higher wages because everything was affordable.
And they had our foreign direct investment behind in Ireland, behind Japan, and now, Mr. Speaker, we are third in the world. And when you divide it by our population, we're first in the world on bringing good jobs, on bringing investments, on making Canada a place where everybody wants to call home. Unlike the Conservatives, which are full of bluff and bluster.
What the fuck was that, if not bluff and bluster? The liberals are so good at pointing out what they're doing, but then saying that the conservatives are doing it instead.
The honourable member from Central Okanagan, Similkameen, Nicola.
Spendy ways, my friends, spendy ways. David Dodge said that this was likely to be the worst budget since 1982. 1982? Who was prime minister then? How out of control was that budget?
That would have been Pierre Elliott Trudeau, my friend.
Canada and Canadians become before Pierre Elliott Trudeau finally took his walk in the snow. Plus ça change, Mr.
The more things change.
2 million visits to food banks in a single month. Isn't it clear that Canadians are desperately hungry for change? How many more?
Yes, asshole, you have to fudge the numbers to make it work. You just said that, right?
Canadians need to visit food banks before the Prime Minister realizes that today's budget is a recipe for disaster.
The Honourable Minister for Employment and Workforce Development.
Hey, Piglet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today sounds like a day for some of the greatest hits, so let's put the Conservatives in the spotlight. Mr. Speaker, when we formed government in 2015, one of the first things we did is we asked the wealthiest 1% of Canadians to pay more. How did the Conservatives vote? Against.
Because you're asking the individuals who have busted their ass to make that money to pay more instead of the fucking asshole corporations like Loblaws and fucking Sobeys to pay more. Assholes.
When we asked to make sure that Canadians and their children could have money coming to their houses every month, how did the Conservatives vote? Against. And now that we're going to have a national school food program and housing across this country and investments to grow this country, how are the Conservatives going to vote against?
Because the way you're doing it is wrong and inflationary. Like, the Conservatives aren't saying that Canada shouldn't be invested in. What they're saying is you're investing the wrong way. But these ideologues don't see that.
Order, please.
Certains.
I'm convinced that all members would like to hear the question by the honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, in order to bring inflation down and allow the Bank of Canada to lower interest rates, there aren't 36 solutions. You have to cap spending by applying the dollar for dollar rule. Want to spend $1? Save $1 somewhere else. It's simple. It's how everybody manages their budget at home. And that's how all government ministers should manage their departments. Is the Prime Minister going to cap spending to keep inflation and interest rates down in his budget that he's going to table shortly? The Honourable Minister of Public Services, Public Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives have always wanted to do.
There was a woman 8 doors up from us, kept her husband's corpse for 18 to 20 weeks with her. She was distraught after he hung himself due to the lockout down destroying his business. People blamed her. Jesus. That's so sad, Fury. And where does that money come from that comes back to my wallet every fucking month? You're right? What are they but all bluster? He blustered louder than a coked up 18-year-old in his first strip joint. He really did.
And voted in favors to reduce taxes for the wealthiest and make lives more difficult for everyone else, the middle class and those lower income earners. This includes a Canada Child Benefit. They voted against it in 2016. It was one of their first votes.
Because it already existed.
For seniors, the 600,000 seniors who are now eligible for this plan. The
plan that doesn't work yet.
When we ask him when he's asked questions about this, the honourable member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party has 3 simple demands today. It's to build housing, not bureaucracy. The government insists on announcing inflationary measures that could cost Canadian taxpayers billions of dollars and only serves to increase inflation and the cost of living. Even David Dodge, the former Liberal governor of the Bank of Canada, has predicted that this will be the worst budget since 1982. Will the Prime Minister commit to following the demands of the Leader of the Official Opposition and build housing, not bureaucracy? The Honourable Minister of Public Procurement. My esteemed colleague is putting the Leader of the Opposition and housing together. He built 6 affordable housing units.
Oh, here we go. Here we go with the 6 again.
He was Minister of Housing. So that's all.
Now, that email I got was sent at 3 o'clock yesterday. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, they sent that email out before the budget was even announced. That's great.
He built during his mandate when he was the minister responsible for housing for the entire country. In my colleague's own writing, if I can say, there's only 12 affordable housing units that were built. So that's more
Oh my
than
God, you are
twice what
horrible.
the Conservative leader built.
Speak in a complete
The
sentence,
Honourable Member
you
for
fucking
Drummond,
translator.
the English Montreal School Board has decided to challenge Bill 21 before the Supreme Court. That's fine, it's their right. But for the federal government to get directly involved in this case against the will of the National Assembly and provide money, our money, and lawyers, that's a no-no. The Quebec lieutenant says that Canada is secular, that the government supports secularism, but keeps telling us that we have to
Minister
defend
of
religious
Thieves.
freedom against Bill 21. When will the Liberals understand that the
Yeah.
best way to
Procurement sounds like you remember, that line in Pirates of the Caribbean? You stole my boat. Borrowed without permission.
protect religion is for the state to have none at all? The Honourable Minister of Transport. Mr. Speaker, I would repeat a fact that my colleague knows full well, is that we're working with this. The Bloc Québécois.
We're working with this?
They want to talk about Quebec issues. We are Quebecers and they tell us to mind our own business. A foreign leader came here and then someone tells them what to do, and that person
Oh
must
my
be
God. Get rid of this bitch. She doesn't know what they're saying. She literally doesn't know what they're saying, and she's grasping for words that might sound similar.
be listened to. I must tell my colleague there are 35 Quebec MPs elected by Quebecers. We're proud Quebecers and will always stand up for Quebec. The Honourable Member for Drummond, Mr. Speaker, by supporting the will of the National Assembly, they can do good. By supporting the challenge to the law and the secular nature of the state, Ottawa is challenging our model of living together in Quebec. We don't want religion and the state to intermingle. We've moved on. I'm sure that this isn't easy for MPs who fight to ensure that the days of the House begin with a prayer, but Quebecers have chosen secularism.
Do they begin with a prayer?
Religion is private, the state is public. I'd like the minister to answer frankly, why is his government opposed to secularism?
That's a good question. Especially if you're so freaking progressive.
Honourable Minister of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to be clear, it's a group of Quebecers who went to court to defend their rights under Quebec's Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They went to the Court of Appeal, and they've talked about it a few times for the past year. We'll be here to take part in the discussions. They're very important, and they are in relation to the Charter, the Canadian Charter and the Quebec Charter. The Honourable Member for Drummond, Mr. Speaker, this is a parliament where we hear God save the King for the head of the Anglican Church, in a parliament where elected representatives pray every day, not at home, which would be their strictest right. But here in this House, we have a government that wants to change the election date for Diwali, a religious holiday.
Wait, what? What? No, fuck that. We're not a majority Hindu country. Why the fuck would we change the election date for Diwali? Hello, Mr. Goatman. The Ministry of Peace has now been merged to the Ministry of Death to Infidels.
this house. We have a government that wants to change the election date for Diwali, a religious holiday, and they're going to tell us that Canada supports secularism. That is so important. Honestly, will the minister admit that if he wants to challenge Bill 21, it's simply because he's against secularism?
Why? Yeah. Why would we change an election day to cater to a religious holiday that we do not nationally celebrate? We are not a majority Hindu country. We celebrate Christmas here. That's why Christmas and New Year's are stat holidays. We don't fucking... Diwali's not a stat holiday. Why the fuck would we change an election day for fucking Diwali? What are we gonna do next? Are we all gonna start fasting for Ramadan? What the fuck? Fuck that. Quebec just secede already. The French don't want you, and the rest of Canada will get on just fine without you.
I just realized there's a second Singh and he's a conservative member.
I just realized there's a second Singh and he's a conservative member. Oh, really? Interesting.
So you've got Jagmeet of the NDP and Jagmeet Singh, but
Oh, that's funny. Diwali sounds like a power tool brand.
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada. Mr. Speaker, we are firmly committed to taking part in these important discussions that have huge repercussions for all Canadians. These are questions that concern the Canadian Charter and the Quebec Charter, as we have indicated on a number of occasions. We have serious concerns with regard to the preventive use of the notwithstanding clause of Section 33 of the Charter.
Except when it comes to your budget, because apparently Trudeau has just come out and said that if the premiers don't like it, the carbon tax shit, they can use the notwithstanding clause, which he doesn't recommend. But of course, that's always an option.
So we need to ensure this. Thank you.
Member from Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years, this NDP Liberal government is not worth the cost. But let's hear from some rural residents. Judy from Arkona writes, the carbon tax is killing us. And Scott from Tupperville says, as a senior, I'm finding it hard to cope. And Walter from Alvinston writes, I have not even received a carbon rebate.
Oh.
So this broken promise budget being
Interesting.
set to be delivered at 4 p.m. today, will the Prime Minister finally axe the tax on farmers, make food cheaper for Canadians, and pass Bill C-234 in its original form?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd really like to ask the Conservatives, they don't have to wait till 4 o'clock. They could pass the fall economic statement because, Mr. Speaker, that is having an impediment on what rural top-up is going. So in my riding, that...
And you can always spot Ramadan by the disgusting amount of spit on the pavement.
And you can always spot Ramadan by the disgusting amount of spit on the pavement. Wait, really? Diwali isn't even a holiday in the UK and we have a large population. They try to kill Canada Day but embrace Diwali. Yep. They sure did. And we wonder why TB spreads in certain areas. What's with the spitting on the sidewalk and during Ramadan? Is it just because of the extra saliva from fasting? Because when I get hungry, my fucking saliva glands are fucking like watering.
That would mean $1,430 to go every year to a family of 4 all across the country in Alberta. It would mean $2,160. I wish they'd pass the feds. Then they would truly be helping rural Canadians and rural families.
Here. The Honourable Member from Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
Well, Mr. Speaker, even the polls tell us that the majority of Canadians are fed up with this Prime Minister overspending, over-promising, under-delivering, and failing this country. Over $52 billion will be spent on servicing his debt alone. And while Canadians are struggling, he raised the price of gas, groceries, and home heating of carbon tax by 23% just 2 weeks ago. This is punishment, not progress. So in his big deficit budget later today, will the Prime Minister finally axe the tax on farmers and make food cheaper for Canadians?
No, he's going to make it worse.
The Honourable Minister for Rural Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, I want to tell this story again. I told it a few weeks ago.
TV, you mean tar brain, right? Oh, God.
There's a constituent in my riding who took the time to track every single amount of money that he'd paid. And you know what? He doubled it in case he missed a few things. He was in $38 every time he got his check. I wish they'd do their homework, Mr. Speaker, because 8 out of 10 Canadians do
$38?
I wish they'd do their homework, Mr. Speaker.
38. He was in $38. That's not a lot of money, dude. $38? What do you expect people to buy with that?
Because 8 out of 10 Canadians do get more with their Canada carbon rebate, especially in rural Canada.
The Honourable Member from Regina Leuven.
This coming from the Liberal member who said if Canadians want programs, they should vote Liberal. Come on, Mr. Speaker. After 8 long years, this Liberal NDP government is not worth the cost. Canadians are finding it harder and harder to make ends meet. And we all know that at 4 o'clock today, they're going to table a dumpster fire budget. This Prime Minister simply is not worth the cost. The question is, will he finally axe a tax on farmers so Canadians can put food on their tables?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are focused on ensuring affordability for Canadians moving forward.
That's fucking
and addressing
laughable.
the climate issue. The price on pollution is an
issue?
affordability mechanism. 8 out of 10 families get more money back. The PBO has underlined that. 300 economists across this
300
country.
economists. Yes, it magically increased by 100 economists in a single week. The fasting, you're not supposed to swallow. Oh, that's gross. So you're literally not supposed to swallow anything while you're fasting, even your own spit? That's fucking okay.
Have underlined that, Mr. Speaker. Every one of those MPs over there ran on the platform that included a price on pollution. This is the height of hypocrisy, and my goodness, their plan is only to take money away from poor people and to let the planet burn.
Yes, because the planet is burning right now. Yep. Yep.
Climate can say whatever he wants, but they are 62nd out of 67 countries.
The Honourable
Wow.
Member is an experienced member in this House and understands that we cannot refer to other members other than their titles that they have.
Oh.
67 Climate can say whatever he wants, but they are
Oh, that's what he did. He referred to him by his first name.
62nd out of 67 countries.
The Honourable Member is an experienced member in this House and understands that we...
No, she's saying the guy only spent $38 a quarter on the carbon tax, which is straight bullshit. If he's paying a single bill, yeah. Because our gas bill, which was $200 yesterday, has a $70 for 1 month. It has a $70 carbon charge.
We cannot refer to other members other than their titles that they have. Order! Order. So the Honourable Member understands that, and I'd ask the Honourable Member to start from the top and to avoid such language.
Yeah, don't use his first name. That's bad language.
Start from the top and to avoid such language. He's not Ken. Ken's handsome.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians know this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. They see it time and time again when they go to the grocery store. And we know that our farmers are paying more. By 2030, when this carbon tax is fully implemented at $170 a ton, farmers will be paying $1 billion in taxes. So my question was, again, on their 4 o'clock budget dumpster fire, will they axe the tax farmers so Canadians can put food on the table?
That's a no.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure if the honourable member is actually trying to insult me or actually give me a compliment. But I would say that it's important in this chamber that we actually use facts, that we are not misleading Canadians. 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back. That is
Wait. So the Conservatives that are quoting statisticians and former Bank of Canada governors are not using facts, but they're using trust me, bro, and that's facts. So just heating the house and water alone is costing us $280 a quarter. My last quote carbon rebate was $220. So that's a $60 net loss.
Green subsidy. The only money that the Greens make is off these subsidies from nuclear, gas, and hydro. They don't like hydro, it's bad for the environment. Mr. Goatman, if they axe the tax, where will they get the money to give other counties?
If they axe the tax, where will they get the money to give other countries? That's a good question, Goatman.
4 stars didn't even talk about really who's getting taxed except for the upper 1%. But Pink Palo, the driving ape moderator,
And the bitch didn't even talk about really who is getting taxed except for the upper 1%. Nope. She really fluffed over that budget. Like, there was no in-depth detail about what was going to be tabled. It was really a fluff piece of a budget.
In this country, and to be honest, it's underlined by the premier of his province. When Scott Moe came here and actually testified, what he said is they looked at all alternatives and they were all too expensive. Well, that's absolutely the right thing, because we have put in place something that actually does address affordability, reduces carbon emissions on that side of the house.
How do you reduce carbon emissions with money? I keep asking that question. Order.
The Honourable Member from Hamilton Centre.
This past weekend, I met with over 100 youth from Hamilton who told me they don't even know how they're going to be able to pay rent, let alone ever be able to afford to buy a home in their lifetime. And a recent Spectator News report confirms that Hamilton's rent is out of control and quickly outpacing Canadian cities. And under the Liberals' watch, life has only gotten better for wealthy developers, and they're raking it in.
Wow. We've got some pretty rude MPs here.
And Scott Moe is who Trudeau hates the most right now. But Pink Palo,
And Scott Moe is who Trudeau hates the most right now. Yeah, because isn't he a liberal?
The Honourable
or is he a conservative?
Member from Hamilton Centre. Usually I can hear quite well. I'm having difficulty hearing him today. I'm going to ask all honourable members, in particular the member from Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies, please to only take the microphone when he's take the floor when he's recognized by the speaker. I'm going to ask the honourable, give the honourable member 20 seconds to finish his question. The honourable member.
Under the Liberals' watch, life has only gotten better for big money developers, and they're raking in while rents double for Canadians. So why are the Liberals refusing to take on corporate developers?
Yeah, this sounds like an NDP guy.
Non-market affordable housing now.
Order. The honourable member, the honourable minister, rather, for housing, infrastructure, and communities.
Mr. Speaker, I have great respect for the honourable member and thank him for his advocacy to build more homes in Hamilton, but he may not be aware that we recently invested $93.5 million in his city to help speed up the construction of up to 9,000 new homes. Mr. Speaker, in addition, we are putting money on the table that's going to help speed up the development. But if his concern is about building non-market housing, I'm pleased to point to the $1 billion we invested in the fall economic statement to build more affordable housing, the hundreds of millions we're using to build more cooperative housing.
Where the fuck is all this money coming from? Holy shit! He's the Saskatchewan. Yeah, I know he's the Saskatchewan premier. I just can't remember if he's liberal or not. Well, you reduce carbon with money by printing it, thus reducing it from the atmosphere. That's funny. Boris Johnson does it better.
$4 billion we're using to deal with the needs of urban, rural, and northern communities to serve Indigenous peoples. We're going to build housing for the most vulnerable. We're going to build housing for everyone.
The honourable member from Winnipeg Centre.
Another
Speaker,
RDP
Indigenous
here.
people in Winnipeg make up nearly 75% of the unhoused population. Almost 90% are sleeping
Unhoused,
outdoors or
huh?
living in encampments. The Liberals'
Why can't you
inadequate
just say
response
homeless?
is costing lives. And the Conservative leader, he cut 8,000 affordable units when he was the minister in charge. Clearly not a Conservative priority. In today's budget, will the Liberals commit to increasing funding for affordable housing with rent geared to income and get serious about ending homelessness?
Nope. They're just going to print more money and fuck us all over.
The honourable minister for housing, infrastructure, and communities.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for her concern, and she's right to point out the desperate need of so many communities across the country when it comes to building more affordable housing. She's right to point out the need for increased investment to support the needs of Indigenous people who remain unhoused. That's why we put more than $4 billion on the table to support the needs of Indigenous peoples in community, and an additional $4.3 billion.
I'm waiting for one of them to point to our Conservative MP regarding the monstrosity that they just finished building down by the river.
To deal with the needs of Indigenous peoples who live in urban, rural, and northern
Is that an
environments.
apartment building?
On top of that, Mr. Speaker, we've invested more than $120 million to build thousands of homes in her city. We're going to keep doing what we need to build more affordable housing. And one point of correction, it was 800,000 units that the opposition leader lost while he was housing minister.
The honourable member from Fleetwood, Port Kells.
Mr. Speaker, today the Deputy Prime Minister will deliver the budget. Over the last few weeks, we've seen the important efforts of this government to...
Oh, fuck. Here we go. Ass kissing. Hello?
Invest
There
in
we
this
go.
country, building a record we could be proud of. On the other side, Leader of the Opposition
Oh,
loves to talk
come
about his
on.
record when he was Minister of Employment. He wants to convince Canadians that he has the solution to make life better. Cut.
And you
cut,
do?
cut. Well,
He's
cuts
got
don't
more of
create
a
jobs,
solution than
cuts
you
don't
do,
create
asshole.
investment, cuts don't increase wages. Can the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Official Languages tell the House what this government is going to do to make life better for Canadians?
Great question. The honourable minister for Employment and Workforce Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague from Fleetwood, Port Kells, for his hard work.
Thank
Since
you
we
for
took
helping
office
me
in
with
2015,
my
Mr.
ass
Speaker,
kissing. I needed
wages
more
are
of
up,
it.
employment is up, and foreign direct investment is up. We are investing in Canadians, in the economy, creating great jobs and growth for the whole country. When the leader of the opposition was Minister of Employment, wages were lower, employment was
Yeah,
lower,
'cause everything
foreign
costs
investment
less.
was lower.
You
While we're
stupid
fighting for
fuck.
fairness for every generation, his record is clear, and there's one thing that'll be up if he ever takes over: cuts, cuts, and more cuts.
You could stop taking in refugees and housing Palestinians in foreign lands. Yep. Talk, talk, talk. These politicians need to get off their asses and do something. Facts. Facts. Okay. We have about 25 minutes left of this, but I have to pee again. So I'm going to quickly switch to our music. and I'm going to put up, or I'm going to stop my camera and mute my mic and then put on the music, and I'll be right back. Oh, there we go. Ah! I didn't want to do that. Now I have to share the screen again. I fucked up. I just want to take care of this and go to the bathroom. God damn it. There. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Here we go. Let's go back over to question period, because I think if this tab is still shared, I think I can just, since it's the same tab, I think I can just pop over here.
Space. Check Palo, the driving moderator. You know what else was really high back in the times of polio being housing minister? And all that shit buying power, the power of our mind. But Fury Kitchen moderator. Tax cut, spending cuts, overreach cuts. Sounds good to me. But
you know what else was really high back when Polyev being housing minister? Buying power. Yeah. Buying power was pretty high. Yep. Oh. It's not playing. Okay, I have to go back. I have to actually go and reshare. It doesn't work. That's kind of bullshit. Okay, I have to go back. That's bullshit. Okay. Stop sharing and then go and represent. That is very annoying. That is very annoying. Okay.
And there's one thing that'll be up if he ever
The honorable member from King Vaughan.
Here we go.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years, it's clear this NDP Liberal government is not worth the cost. In Newfoundland and Labrador, there are 28 bodies in a freezer outside of a hospital because their families can't afford to bury them.
That's a lot of bodies in one freezer. That's a lot.
This sounds like a Netflix horror movie, but sadly, it is the nightmare of this Prime Minister's out-of-control spending. Conservatives demand him to stop the outrageous spending and make life affordable. Will they listen and give Canadians the ability to bury their loved ones?
The Honourable Minister for Rural Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, we know it's challenging time for many, many people. That's why we've been there all along, Mr. Speaker.
You have
We've been
no,
there with the
oh my
child care
God.
benefit. We've been there with the increased OIS and GIS. We're now there with a dental program that's rolling out to help people. We know we have our carbon rebate this year for people. We know it's challenging times.
We know it's challenging times. We know we fucked you over, but we're going to continue to fuck you over anyway. I just want the Conservatives, or someone from the Conservatives, every time they bring up Poilievre's history, to say, what was the price of gas back then? Yes. Let's see, 2007 gas for cars was $1. That's crazy. How much did a loaf of bread cost? What about a bag of milk? Yep. Loaf of bread used to be like 99 cents. And then bag of milk, $3.97.
We'll be there for Canadians, and we always will be, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from King Vaughan.
The old song is, stop in the name of Canadians, 28 bodies in a freezer because families can't afford to bury their loved ones. Houses have doubled. Food bank usage is higher in history. Well, you know. Families are losing their homes. Enough. Today, the Liberals are announcing their budget. Will they show some compassion and ensure there's $1 of savings for every $1 of spending so Canadians can afford to live?
That MP just got pissed. That was, she just, wow. Wow, that was interesting. She was just like, well, you know, whatever. They won't even care. They don't even care. That was interesting. She just, wow. She was getting angry, and then she's like, you know what? It doesn't matter because the Liberals just don't care. And that's sad. When an MP in mid-speech just says, well, you know, as in like nobody cares. That's fucking terrifying.
Before the Honourable Minister gets up, I'm going to encourage members, please. I hear some singing in the House. You know that singing is not permitted in the House. I'll just ask them.
No singing. No singing in the House. That's not allowed. No singing. Oh, except for O Canada.
To please, whoever is doing that, to please stop. The Honourable Minister for Rural Economic Development.
Mr. Speaker, when people find it very challenging and very upsetting time in their life, they know that this party and this side of the House is there to help them for all many
Nobody
reasons.
knows
Mr.
that
Speaker,
because
we don't
what we
believe
do
in
know is
slogans.
that
we believe in helping people,
you don't
which we
care.
have been since the very, very beginning, and we will continue to, especially with today's budget later today. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years, this Liberal government is just not worth the cost. We've had 8 years of skyrocketing deficits and debt, and this government has never controlled its spending. It's the perfect storm that generates inflation. And what's the result of that? Rent has doubled. Mortgages have doubled. It's now cheaper for people to live in motels than in an apartment.
Jesus Christ. Wow. It is cheaper to pay by the night. That's insane. Good God, I hate Ferguson. Yeah. Yeah.
Plum syrup. But ad reaction. But
Ugh, no thank you.
At a bare minimum, during the budget later, will this government present a plan to control spending?
Nope.
The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement.
God, my
Mr.
hair is
Speaker,
so fucking
6 is the
poofy.
number of affordable housing units that the leader of the Conservative Party
6?
had built when
Stop
he was
with the
Minister of Housing
6!
for the entire country during his entire term.
What was the price of gas?
Quebec
How much did
municipalities are
groceries
building
cost?
8,000 housing units with the help of the federal government. If you divide that by 6, it's about 1,200 times more. And yet, the leader of the Conservative Party is insulting Quebec municipalities. He's calling them incompetent.
No, he's
Who's
calling
really
you
incompetent here?
incompetent.
The Conservative leader with his 6 housing units, or Quebec municipalities with 8,000? The
you owe these premises. No singing or act pertaining to singing are permitted without consensus of the House. But Fury Kitchen moderator. Bread, milk.
Let's see.
By act of parliament, you owe these premises. No singing or act pertaining to singing.
You, by act of parliament, on these premises, no singing or acts pertaining to singing without consent of the House.
Fury Kitchen moderator. WTF at Big Pal the driving 8. I just bought a 2-pound bag for 39p. But
Yeah, flour, all-purpose flour, almost $20 for 5 pounds. Yeah.
The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker,
You can't even
this
make your
member
own
from
bread
Quebec seems
cheap
to have
as
fun with
cheap.
numbers these days. Well, I have a number for him: 750. Arrive can cost $750 times more. And who was president of the Treasury Board at that time? The member across the way. And then after that, he was Minister of Health, and now he's Minister of Procurement. So it's a real hat trick of incompetence. Does he think it's insulting to have spent 750 times more when it was his responsibility to ensure that things were done right?
Oh shit! Good call. Good call.
The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Insulting is indeed the key word here. Insulting Quebec municipalities by calling them incompetent.
He didn't call Quebec municipalities
They are
incompetent.
building
He called the
8,000
federal
affordable
government
housing
incompetent,
units
you moron.
with the federal and Quebec governments.
The fact that you're trying to
Meanwhile,
sell
the
that is
insulting
fucking
leader of the
pathetic.
Conservative Party only managed to build 6 housing units, affordable housing units, throughout his entire term, throughout the entire country.
Because
there have been 66 in my colleague for Louis Saint Laurent's riding alone.
Oh, a whole
The honourable member for
66.
Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagot.
Oh boy.
Mr. Speaker, Ottawa is getting involved in a new border fiasco. On May 13th, importers may hit a wall at the border at customs. Why? Because there will be a new application at the border called CARM for paying import duties.
Oh.
Last week, 19 organizations raised concerns that neither the CPSA nor businesses will be ready on time. Will Ottawa delay the implementation of this application until the Committee on International Trade finishes its study of the matter and comes up with recommendations?
So there's a new app. There's a new app coming in. And it's not ready. This is crazy. As I stated before, I used to live next to the rink that flour mills in Canada, or specifically to import grain from Canada. It was the buy the cheaper stuff, not the flour handpicked by trans bipolar crippled midgets with 6 fingers who only work on Tuesdays. Back then, we had an apartment that was this massive 2-bedroom apartment in a 17-story building. We were paying $700 a month, all inclusive. Yep. At this rate, it might be cheaper for me to buy flour over here and ship it dead weight over to you. Jesus. And we were low income as fuck back then. Yeah, we were. We were fucking struggling back then.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague knows very well, We always work with committees. We always collaborate with them.
We work with committees. No, the fuck you don't. You are notorious for working against committees.
Have met with the leader of the CBSA. We met yesterday on this matter. I have full confidence in the agency, which is fully aware of the circumstances surrounding this application. And I have full confidence that it will be handled correctly. The honorable member. Well, it's all very well to talk about full trust, but there's a precedent here for Ottawa's failures on big IT.
I used to live across the street from a place called Dover Flour Mill. It was like one of the biggest flour mills in Canada.
Systems. We all know Phoenix. 8 years later, the federal government still can't pay its employees property.
Yep.
And there's another precedent with CBSA, ArriveCan. Wow, how reassuring. So coming back to this CARM system, the agency did not provide the documents requested by the committee. So the committee cannot...
Oh, what a shock! They didn't provide documents requested by the committee. I'm super shocked. It's not like they always fail to provide documents requested by committees.
Finish up its study. And no one seems to know what to do if the application crashes on May 13th. Will Ottawa do what it has to do, which is delay the start date?
L'honorable ministre de la Sécurité publique.
The Honourable Minister. Once again, Mr. Speaker, we have consulted and we will continue to consult exporters, importers.
Shouldn't you have done all this consulting like before you're ready to roll out the app?
That is why I raised the question with the head of the CBSA.
Isn't that a thing you should have done already? Like, shouldn't you guys just be getting ready to roll things out at this point? And not
my
consulting?
colleague, the Quebec lieutenant, often says, they are experts on pessimism in the bloc. I don't share that, and I think we will act correctly on this file.
Member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
After 8 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, it's clear he isn't worth the
Like
cost
ramen
or the
every
corruption,
night
like a
level
$60 million Arrive scam contractor who's being hauled before the House of Commons tomorrow for refusing to answer committee questions about his role in this Prime Minister's latest multi-million-dollar scandal. Now, this contractor claims that he only did Google searches and sent LinkedIn direct messages. So what did this guy and his partner give to these Liberals in exchange for the multi-million dollars that they were paid?
The Honourable Minister for Public Security.
Mr. Speaker, just because my honourable friend continues to repeat something that he knows is not accurate.
But it is accurate. It is on paper. Why are they saying that shit that's actually on paper and provable is not accurate?
It's so. He knows very well, Mr. Speaker, that there are a series of investigations that are being undertaken. The RCMP are seized with this matter. If the
that
House
you
in
guys
wisdom
are not
decides to call
cooperating
people
with
before the bar, that's entirely within the purview of the House. And Mr. Speaker, we've also said from the beginning that anybody who abused taxpayers' money should face the consequences, and that's exactly what will happen.
The Honourable Member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
The minister gets up and says that something's not true. Well, point to the lie is what I would say to him, because we know that 75% of the contractors listed on this app did no actual work. We know that two guys working out of a basement were paid tens of millions of dollars, but did no actual work. And we know that every step of the way, these Liberals have tried to cover it up, like that minister and everyone on the front bench and the right to the back voted against having the Auditor General investigate. The question is very simple. These yo-yos working out of a basement were paid tens of millions of dollars, did no actual work. What did they give these Liberals in exchange for that sweetheart deal?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Again, Mr. Speaker, if our honourable friend wants me to point out the part of his question which he knows isn't accurate, it's the last sentence of the question.
What? They didn't get, so they didn't give you guys anything for that sweetheart deal. You were just nice enough to give them $20 million. Is that it? Is that what you're saying?
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable. While speaking of this scandal, The ArriveCan scandal has reached unheard of levels in 100 years of Canadian history. Tomorrow, Christian Firth will appear at the bar of the House of Commons right here for protecting his friends within the Liberal government by refusing to give their names and lying.
Oh, shit.
Just think about it. Two guys
That's
working out of the
happening
basement
today.
with no specialized IT knowledge. They got $20 million for developing a digital application, ArriveCan. I would ask the minister responsible for these historic levels of corruption, I would ask him to get up and apologize for this scandal, which made his Liberal friends rich on the backs of Canadians.
This testimony that they're talking about, that's happening today. So I'll do some digging into that.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows very well that there is an investigation underway. The House is bringing in someone to appear on this matter. That is completely appropriate. Within the responsibilities of the House of Commons, we accept that.
Yes, someone.
And from the beginning, whether with the Auditor General, whether with the RCMP, whether with parliamentary committees, we have always accepted an in-depth review of this situation. And anyone who has taken advantage of taxpayer funds will pay the appropriate consequence. The Honourable
Liar.
Mr. Speaker, National Tourism Week celebrates a vital industry in Canada. It represents
It
1 out of 10
sounds like
jobs
another liberal
and
ass
affects
kissing
all regions.
question.
Like mine, Châteauguay-Lacolle, which will soon be called Châteauguay-les-Jardins and Napierville. Our government is making strategic investments, like the Indigenous Tourism Fund and the Tourism Growth Program. It's exactly the opposite of what the Conservatives would do. They always vote to cut these programs. Can the Minister of Tourism tell us about the importance of the tourism industry?
Oh, my Lord.
The Honourable Minister of Tourism. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What a fluff
As
question.
My colleague for
Why do
Châteauguay-Lacolle
none of the
said so
Liberal
eloquently,
MPs
this
ask
industry
tough questions?
generated almost $100 billion in 2023 and employs 2 million people throughout the country. Beyond the numbers, tourism is something we can be proud of. We can be proud of sharing places with 2.5 million visitors from throughout the world. And that is why I am very surprised that the Conservative
Yeah, and
Party
now that
voted
you're throwing in
against
shit to like
giving a job
Indigenous shit to things
the
that don't
Bonhomme
need it, like
Carnaval.
the Anne of Green Gables stuff,
That's
you're
why
probably
on
going to
this side of
ruin
the
tourism.
House, we will all be wishing Canadians happy Tourism Week.
It's rare that I hear the honourable member's voice carry so far. I'm going to ask him, please, to make sure that he doesn't speak until he's recognized by the chair. The honourable member from Brantford Brant.
After 8 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. Just when you think this NDP Liberal government couldn't be more out of touch, go ahead and nominate the CBSA as unsung heroes for the Arrive scam.
What?
Recklessly spending $60 million taxpayer dollars.
Wait, what? That actually happened? Holy fuck. That's insane.
And demonstrating some of the worst financial record keeping we've ever seen is the opposite of innovative and effective procurement practices. The CBSA should be an example of how not to do government procurement. Why on earth would this government reward incompetence?
That's a very good question. Why are you rewarding incompetence?
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend knows very well that we have instituted a series of changes in terms of the procurement process, both at CBSA and horizontally across the Government of Canada. My colleague, the Minister of Public Services and Procurement, has spoken about the changes we've made in light of the recommendations, of course, of the Auditor General. We welcome other reviews, whether it's parliamentary committees, and in the case of ArriveCan, Mr. Speaker,
welcome other
the
reviews,
RCMP are looking into
then
this
why
matter,
do
and
you
as I
not
said,
participate
anybody
in
who
them?
abused taxpayers' money will properly face the consequences.
Absolutely. The honourable.
They always vote to cut these programs, maybe because they're bullshit.
Member from Cumberland, Colchester.
Speaker, the costly NDP Liberal coalition have announced another poorly conceived federal idea. Their dental care debacle is failing Canadians. I have one simple question. How many dentists in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI have signed up for the dental care debacle?
That's a good question. How many maritime dentists are you going to help?
course, Mr. Speaker, because unlike the member opposite, we're working with dental providers and we're opening up a new portal, which means that in order to participate, all they have to do is accept that dental card and provide service. And the dentist.
All they have to do is accept the dental card and provide service, huh? Well, what about if the insurance carrier hasn't approved it yet? What about that?
That I'm talking to as we work through these issues of the negotiation are extremely excited to do what the member is not, which is to make sure that every Canadian from coast to coast to coast gets oral health care. And that means 1.8 million seniors and soon 9 million Canadians who will have the oral health care that they need.
I ask the honourable member from Oxford, please, to allow his colleague to ask a question and allow the minister to answer. The honourable member from Cumberland Colchester.
Well, interesting enough, the Minister of Health of the NDP Liberal government has been singing the praises and photo ops of this program for months now. Their plan is lacking and it's failing Canadians. One simple question once again to the minister. How many dentists in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI have signed up for the botched care announcement? I'll actually give him the answer. It's 8 out of 1,107.
Holy shit. 8 out of 1,170. Wow.
Order.
From 16 years ago, Brits would have put Canada as their #1 country to where they would emigrate. We are currently hovering around Argentina levels apart from the ideologues. Jesus Christ.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Well, of course, Mr. Speaker, the member opposite knows that we're opening a new portal and that members don't have to sign up. That all that needs to happen is they bring their card and they participate in the program. But here's the
What
truth,
card?
Mr. Speaker.
Did somebody just say bullshit? He just said 8. That's bullshit. That was a French guy.
I'll ask honourable members to please restrain themselves. I know it's budget day. It's a big day. The honourable minister has 20 seconds left on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, the truth is that they don't want that 9 million.
Health card? No. So they're sending these cards to dentists. Like these insurance cards or whatever. And the dentists have to submit these cards. And apparently they'll automatically get reimbursed for their services. Meanwhile, the insurance carrier for most dentists, which is Sun Life, has not approved any of this government plan.
Canadians who don't have dental care to get service. They don't want or believe that Canadians who don't have access to diabetes medication to get it. They don't want, Mr. Speaker, for women to be able to get access to universal contraception. So they push despair because they don't want people to hope for something better. Well, we're there.
Yeah, it sounded like bullshit to me too, Fury Kitten.
The honourable member for Richmond Centre.
Mr. Speaker, climate change is real. The science is clear. Current drought conditions and above average temperatures are bringing an increasing risk of wildfires. Last year, more than 230,000 Canadians were forced out of their homes, not knowing what the future looks.
Yeah, because of arson.
Now, next to 100 fires are already burning in British Columbia, and communities are rightfully concerned. Can the Minister of Emergency
There are
Preparedness tell
wildfires
us what
burning
are-
in British Columbia right now? I haven't heard anything about that, but okay,
federal
maybe.
government has been doing to...
Informally, I did ask the honourable member from Missionamaskee Fraser Valley, please, to allow the member from Richmond Hill to ask his question. I'm not give the honourable member from Richmond Hill 15 seconds to finish his question. The honourable member.
Last year, more than 230,000 Canadians were forced out of their home not knowing what the future holds. Now, next to 100 fires are already burning in British Columbia, and communities are rightfully concerned. Can the Minister
science
of
is clear.
Emergency
You,
Preparedness
sir, are
tell
no
us what our
scientist.
government
Nope.
has been doing to make sure we will be there for British Columbians this summer?
The Honourable Minister for Emergency Preparedness.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member from Richmond Centre for this very important and timely question. Last year, we had the worst wildfire season in Canadian history because of climate change.
No, because some asshole went around and set a bunch of forest fires. We fucking know that already. He's been sentenced.
And potentially this season could be even worse. We have been working very closely with the province and territories and Indigenous leaders to provide the resources that they need. We are training more
You keep
firefighters,
using
providing
that
additional
word. I
firefighting
don't think it means what you think it means.
equipment, and adding more initiatives to provide humanitarian support. On this side of the house, we know the devastating impact that climate change is having on Canadians, and we will be there for them. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Port Moody, Coquitlam.
Seniors are being kicked out of their homes because assisted living is now fodder for greedy developers and private equity firms. 90-year-olds are being put on the streets so that super rich CEOs can make a buck. Yep. The Liberals and the Conservatives let developers buy up affordable housing, and now they're letting them go after long-term care. A family whose father was kicked out of his home called this a death sentence. Will the government stop this in its tracks and use the budget to end greedy NDP. CEOs from evicting vulnerable seniors?
Nope.
The Honourable Minister for Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, as we move down a path of increasing investments to build more affordable housing, we have to acknowledge the very real challenge that exists when affordable housing that is already in communities is snapped up to be for the purpose of renovating those who live in it. That's why we're moving forward with a Canadian First, a new acquisition fund that's going to help nonprofits buy up existing low-cost rentals so they can.
They're stretching. Oh, hold on. Oh my god, the contraceptives. Is that the abortion shit that I keep hearing? Yes! They're stretching out the no contraceptives thing as it's provincial to the Conservatives don't want abortion. Or want abortion. Yes! Yes, they're literally saying because the Conservatives are voting against the universal contraception thing that they want to get abortion taken away.
It can keep them affordable in perpetuity. This is a new direction that's going to help many thousands of Canadians not just find a place to call home, but to keep a place to call home that they can actually afford.
Honourable Member from North Island Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, in the past 2 years, there's been a 50% increase in denied claims for veterans seeking disability benefits.
Oh,
this
lovely.
Is shameful. They served our country, risking their lives and safety in the process. Yet the Liberals keep turning their backs on them, just like the Conservatives did for years before. This is an issue of respect and livelihood. Many veterans are struggling and they rely on these benefits to make ends meet. Do the Liberals plan on fixing this, or will they keep denying veterans their dignity?
Screw the veterans. That's what the Liberals say.
Veterans Affairs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take a moment to thank my colleague for important work on
abortion
the
by
Veterans
definition is
Mr.
not a
Speaker,
contraceptive.
Our government has
Oh,
always
don't
been
tell
there for
these
veterans
people
and will
that.
continue to be there. Since 2015, we've invested more than $11 billion in additional
Don't
funding
tell-
to support
don't tell
veterans and their
these
families.
assholes
We've
that.
also, in contrast
Abortion
to
to
the Conservative
them
Party of
is
Canada,
a
when they closed the
contraception.
Veterans Affairs office on this side of the House, we opened them immediately because we recognize that they provided direct services to victims, to veterans.
To victims? Did you just call veterans victims? Yeah, victims of you. Victims of your government. Way to Freudian slip there, bitch. Yes, veterans are victims of your government.
Mr. Speaker, we will always be there to help support our veterans in their time of need and their family. Thank you.
And as such, it comes to an end of question period.
So that was yesterday's question period, guys. And holy fuck, what a shit show. And I think they're going to be voting on the budget at some point today. So I am going to keep an eye out on that. And I will report back to you tomorrow. And I will also have question period for today for us to go over. I am going to be back tonight for the combat hour, and I'm going to be taking Ermac into casuals to get some more experience. I might, if I have some time, I might jump on to get a bit of practice in before I go live, just so I can actually win some matches. And if I do well in casuals, maybe I'll switch to ranked. We'll see. I haven't touched ranked yet because I want to be able to win at least a few matches before I go take Ermac online or into ranked mode. But that was our lovely coffee stream today. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys tonight for the combat hour. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.